So it felt important to me to illuminate kind of the different types of challenges that we are experiencing. And you've probably seen this before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. The difference between technical versus adaptive challenges. Most of the challenges we're experiencing now, many would say, are adaptive rather than technical. So technical changes are more like when you can hire an expert to help fix for you. It can be something even like changing an email system. It's something that you can acquire knowledge externally and change from A to B. You can figure it out. Usually it's more clearly defined. And because of that, there's usually less resistance. It's easier on some level. Where in contrast, you have adaptive change. These are where the more complex challenges lie. These are more of our mental models, our perceptions, our behaviors, and these are harder to define. And because they're harder to define and they require internal self-awareness, we often run into more resistance with handling these kinds of challenges. But that's also, even though it's frustrating, this can be where real transformation occurs, which can be in this context different than change, which change you could look at as from A to B. Transformation is where we're actually kind of something new emerges. And that feels important to me because that's kind of what we're needing in these times, is the emergence of solutions that we haven't even thought of yet. So I wanted to spend a minute to talk about this, what I call the invisible culture. These are where the adaptive challenges live, and they're mostly unconscious, as I said, in that iceberg kind of image. So my experience in these last few years with sociocracy is that even with good sociocratic structures in place and where power is not being abused, there are still hangovers from old systems that we've been immersed in. So I've felt it in myself and in other circles that sometimes there's projection, mistrust, or even disempowerment, even when there's a power with structure in place. And it's coming from perhaps the baggage I'm bringing from past wounds, traumas, fear of being fired, fear of being judged, rejected, kicked out, all these things we bring with us. So the structure alone won't help us get the leverage that we need within these power with structures. So that's that second point, that the power over power under dynamic is still there unconsciously, even when we change the external structures. And then there's another part to the invisible culture that I call VUCA within VUCA. So Laureen was talking a lot about the external conditions of VUCA. I highly recommend you watch her talk on the recording if you weren't there. And what I came to realize is that I am a complex being. I am a VUCA system. All human beings are. So I'm not only swimming in VUCA waters, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, but I experience those conditions inside of myself. Maybe you do too. Maybe you've noticed it in yourself. And if I bring those to a circle meeting or decision making without self-awareness, I'm not going to realize how much I might be distorting the system or a decision, or even just the energy in the room if you're sensitive to that, like some of us are. So that combined with sort of this human condition of a natural resistance to change, which we all naturally have, that will also feed into the invisible culture when we try to bring in new structures. So these are some of the areas that a developmental organization can help us bridge. So the proposal is we blend these external structures with developing our internal capacities in layered ways within organizations, within the structures that we have. And then it becomes like the two pedals of the bicycle. Then we can really make some movements. If we tip too far one side or the other, we're not going to get the traction we need. And I feel that we're all feeling like we need to get traction. So it's like, bring in any help that we can get to the movement of creating the world that we want.